What's up, folks? David here, Texas Horns football. Texas football is finally back. All is right with the world. We can be at peace now. But I want to do a quick review on week one, the 45-14 win over Louisiana Tech, and just kind of what we saw, what came out of the game, just the top storylines from the game, top performances, and just kind of what it means going forward, especially going into the LSU game. Definitely drop your comments below about what you thought about the game, what surprised you, what disappointed you, and how you're feeling about just the overall performance. And overall, I think, a good game, not a great game by Texas, but they did exactly what they needed to do. They handled an inferior opponent and got ahead pretty quickly and really just kind of managed the game and did pretty much what they wanted to Louisiana Tech, which that's exactly what you want to see. Last year we saw a 7-point win against Tulsa, a 7-point win against Kansas, and a really close win against Kansas State. And that's not what we saw Saturday. I think what we saw Saturday was a team that has taken a step forward, at least from week one, right? This is the first week one win in the Tom Herman era so far. We've gone 0-2 with Tom Herman in week one with those two losses against Maryland in 2017 and 2018. But great to get out on a great start. I thought it was a quick start. The offense moved the ball down the field kind of at will. Devin Duvernay started the game off with a good return. And I thought, run game was good. Pass game was good. Not a whole lot revealed, I think, in the offense. Most of the play calling was pretty straightforward, basic, vanilla, whatever you want to call it, which is understandable. But if you can move the ball with some basic formation, some basic play calling, and mix up the run and the pass and still sustain long drives with touchdowns, that's perfectly fine. I think any team would do that and not reveal too much and maybe not want to show LSU a lot of other things that we've been working on. And it matters with the defensive matchup too. I thought Sam looked really good and really about as good as you can expect from a quarterback in week one. A lot of his passes were pretty short, pretty high percentage throws, which is fine. But we saw a few downfield passes to Devin and Colin, and then those two touchdowns to Brennan Eagles. But I thought Sam was decisive, made good decisions. I thought he moved around well. He's gotten really good at moving around, especially avoiding pressure, while also keeping his eyes downfield and not giving up on the play and recomposing himself after he's moving around. He's got that great kind of spin move where he avoids a single rusher and then gets back and composes himself to where he can still make the pass. So that's cool to see. He didn't run a whole lot, which is great. And there were a lot of times where he did kind of slide or just protect himself, which is good to see too. Other offensive standouts, I think Devin Duvernay moving into the H position, that slot position where LJ Humphrey excelled in last year, is going to be a big impact and a big storyline all season. Obviously, he had a career high in catches, and a lot of those came on the first drive. So he was a big part of that drive. And it was just cool to see that obviously that slot position is still going to be a major position in this offense. Sam loves to throw to that position a lot, and we saw that that's not going anywhere. I think it's just that where LJ Humphrey excelled last year was his ability to outbody defenders, linebackers, and safeties in sort of like a basketball power forward, kind of boxing out, where Devin is going to have to use his quickness and speed to create some separation. Hopefully they find ways to use his speed downfield more. I think he had 11 catches for like 60 yards, so not a lot of yards per catch. Hopefully they'll be able to find ways to get him downfield more. Also in that position, Jake Smith had I think like 3 catches. True freshman Jake Smith. So it was cool to just see him in the game, just to mix it up. I believe by the second quarter, Sam had already hit 8 different receivers, which was cool. Cade Brewer had some catches. Malcolm Epps had a catch or 2. Obviously, Colin Johnson, was mixed in there early. I believe it was that second drive where Colin Johnson had that fumble pretty deep into Louisiana Tech's territory. You never see that from Colin. You know that there's not going to be anybody more than Colin that's going to beat himself up over that. But obviously came back and ended up scoring a touchdown. And he's not the type of guy that's going to dwell on something like that. Thought Keontae Ingram looked fantastic. I think he had maybe 11 carries, and obviously they're not going to want to, beat him up a lot because the running backs are dropping like flies out there. But when he had the ball, even on the couple of catches he had, I thought he was phenomenal. He was decisive, quick, explosive, and really ran hard. I thought he showed just an all-around great talent and ability, just in his strength, quickness, speed, everything. So, obviously I think we're going to see him get a lot more touches against LSU. The bad news is the running back room is having to pull true freshmen from the quarterback position and the linebacker position to fill in. A big part of that is Jordan Whittington, true freshman. Obviously, we got the word yesterday that he has that hernia. They call it a sports hernia. It's a growing issue, so that's got to be painful. But he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. We did see him get 2 or 3 catches in the game. One was for a first down, taking it deep into Louisiana Tech territory. He had no carries, though. Sam, I think, had like 6 or 7 carries, and then obviously Ingram had 11 carries. And then true freshman Rashawn Johnson, who came in as the third quarterback, has converted to running back to help just provide some kind of depth in that room. He looked pretty good. He's a taller player, obviously, so I think he's going to have to learn how to get low and use his pads, but the athleticism is there. He looked really decisive in his runs, taking it downfield. The offensive line, I thought, did a fantastic job run blocking. We saw, transfer Parker Braun in there. Sam Cosme at left tackle looked really good, and especially even staying on their blocks downfield for those guys. David McGinbey from the linebacker spot is moving over to running back to try to provide some depth there, because remember, Kirk Johnson's hurt, Daniel Young is hurt, and then Darian Brown was even, true freshman, was even factoring in to get some carries in the running backs. He's obviously out all year with the health issues that he's had. So, it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully, at this point, you just have to hope Keontae Ingram stays healthy. Other things that stood out, Colin Johnson looked good, had a ridiculously athletic catch on the sideline. We talked about Devin Duvernay. Brennan Eagles stepped up, I thought. He only had 3 catches, but 2 of them were for touchdowns. He got wide open. I think one of those was a great job by Sam to sort of bait the safety over in the middle, which left Brennan Eagles wide open with his, I believe that was his second touchdown that was kind of in that back of the end zone. So that was really cool to see him step up. I think John Burt, senior John Burt, is still listed as the starting receiver opposite, Colin Johnson. But Brennan Eagles, I think, is the guy that's going to step up and take over that spot. He's a sophomore. He's a big body guy. I didn't really realize, how big he was. I knew he was a bigger receiver, but I just think we saw what he can do. He checks in at about 225 pounds, not as tall as Colin Johnson, but so those were kind of my thoughts on the offense. Definitely drop the comments to let me know what stood out for you. On the defensive side, Joseph Asai was amazing, sophomore there. I think he's your next leader on defense. He's your next defensive star for this team. I still think, obviously, right now for this season, Brandon Jones is the top player and the top leader on defense, but Joseph Asai looked amazing. He had one interception, really two. He had that second one that he took to the house that was called back because Brandon Jones kind of inadvertently rolled into the quarterback, which really didn't have any bearing on Joseph Asai's interception and return into the end zone, but it was still called back. So, but you saw the impact there. He was just amazing. He was all over the place. He just always seemed to be around the ball. Chris Brown had a great game at defensive back. He was all over the place. He even had, one or two tackles for loss, kind of disrupting things at the line of scrimmage. He just seemed to be always, always near the ball, which was really cool. So he made some impact plays. Caden Stearns got in there. I thought Jalen Green did a great job at cornerback. He seemed to be always glued to his man. But kind of opposite of those performances, really thought Kobe Boyce struggled a lot. He just looked lost. There was that one play where he was covering his man pretty well, but the receiver still caught the ball, and it seemed like Boyce thought that the receiver dropped it, and he kind of gave up on the play. That was just crazy, immature decision on his part. And then he had that pass interference call near the 5-yard line where he basically just pulled the guy's head back. So just a really bad game by Kobe Boyce. So obviously that other corner position is not locked up whatsoever. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do, from here on out, who gets most of the playing time at that position. Obviously, they're going to have to figure something out against LSU because LSU's coming in with that revamped spread offense, which the Texas defense is used to, but they're going to have to really figure out what they're going to do or provide some help for that other corner position. Throughout the game, we saw up to 7 to 8 corner or defensive backs on the field. It's called that cowboy formation, which I don't like to see because I would rather see more pressure up front at the line of scrimmage. But Louisiana Tech did kind of go all in on that quick passing game, which is really going to negate a pass rush to pretty much any defense, which you can do. You can make that happen. And really Texas had no choice but to just kind of unload on the defensive backs, where Louisiana Tech really kind of abandoned the run and just went straight pass. So, overall, I thought they did great. Louisiana Tech's second touchdown came after that, after Joseph Asai's negated pick six, where Brandon Jones kind of rolled into the quarterback, which allowed Louisiana Tech to continue the drive. So I thought it was great that they allowed 0 points through 3 quarters. That was cool to see. And I still think Louisiana Tech is not a bad team. They have a good quarterback. They have a good offense. Defense, not so much, but overall good. Hey, even Dicker the kicker had a pretty good field goal in there. He got to kick one, so that was at least good to see. Casey Thompson got in there late in the game at quarterback. He is so quick, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more of Casey Thompson, just as a change of pace. He's a completely different runner than Sam is, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him a little bit in there for some, maybe for some gadget plays, or maybe him and Sam in the lineup at the same time. So those are just kind of my overall thoughts. Sucks that Whittington is out. for 4 to 6 weeks. And if he does have surgery on that, it's likely going to be 6 weeks. So, we could not see him until November, which is really going to suck, or at least late October. And I think that's the big story with the offense going forward is the running backs. But overall, 45-14, the dub, 1-0 with Louisiana State University coming into town Saturday. We'll talk more about that on the Facebook page, Texas Horns Football. Definitely come join us. We have over 53,000 fans on that page. Great fans, great conversation that goes on there. So definitely come check us out there. And we'll cover more and post any news that we hear, and we'll definitely be in touch for LSU. If you're going to the game, post down below, connect with each other, drop your comments about what you thought about the win over La Tech, and we will see you on the next video. Welcome.